Maybe he didn't get the message that, quote unquote, our people are being affected now. Apparently, that's what got to Donald Trump. When you hear that, what do you think Donald Trump means by that when he says now it's affecting our people? At least his people, the people around him have said now it's affecting our people. It's time to act.
The most significant lie of the 20,000 that Donald Trump has told over the last 3.5 years is that he cares about the American people. He does not. He cares about himself. And in that context, his only real concern appears to be electoral survival. And so it's no surprise to me that what may have gotten Donald Trump's attention is the fact that his campaign appears to be going down in flames, in part because who he views as his people are turning against him because of the failed leadership coming out of the Oval Office. Now, we are still going to try to find common ground because that is what the circumstances require. But we need a robust, meaningful, transformative intervention. We need $875 million for states and localities. We need another round of direct stimulus payments. We need to extend unemployment insurance emergency benefits, which are scheduled to expire on Friday. We need to provide real assistance to renters and homeowners who are struggling to pay the rent and the mortgage. We should settle for nothing less than that. Mitch McConnell should stop nickel and diming the American people.
Oh, and speaking of nickel and diming the American people, I mean, NBC News is reporting that Senate Republicans, one of the things they want to do is to cut down that $600 extra jobless benefit by 2/3, by making it only $200. That's the plan that they unveiled today. Have any of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle explained what is their objection to giving average Americans a mere $600? That's not like the trillions of dollars that they gave to, the airline industry and to individual, restaurants who got, or restaurant chains, giant restaurant chains got tens of millions of dollars. Why are they so against the average person getting just $600 extra in unemployment benefits? Do they explain that to you?
It's a great question. They haven't explained it because they have no good explanation. But what it illustrates is that there's a clear difference between what we're about as House Democrats and Senate Democrats, which is fighting for the people, and what they're about, which is fighting for the privileged few. They passed a GOP tax scam where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1%. They had no problems doing that and drowned us in about $2 trillion in debt. And now they want to nickel and dime the American people for $600 per week in emergency benefits when we're in the midst of a deep recession heading possibly toward a depression. It's shameless, and we are going to hold the line on behalf of the American people.
Before I let you go, I have to play this piece of audio for you. Donald Trump was finally asked about these Russian bounties. He spoke to Vladimir Putin. We know that he had that conversation, another one of his conversations with his favorite leader. And here he was being asked about whether or not he brought up the issue of Russia offering bounties for our troops. I just want to ask you for your response.
You did talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and I wanted to ask if you did bring up the reports of Russia having bounties on our soldiers in Afghanistan.
We don't talk about what we discussed, but we had plenty of discussion, and I think it was very productive. Please.
In your view, do you trust Donald Trump with our national security? We have an election coming up that Russia is already trying to interfere in. Do you trust this man?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.